Apple is reportedly in talks with Google to use its generative AI engine Gemini on its iPhones. This is according to a report from Bloomberg. Now, this comes after Apple also reportedly held conversations with OpenAI to use its product. For more on what this could mean for the tech giants and the broader industry, we want to bring in Martin Yang. He's Oppenheimer's senior analyst of emerging technologies and services. Martin, it's good to see you. So just first, your reaction to this report, and if it's true, how big of a deal this is for Apple?
Well, this is a very big deal for Apple because it removes the near-term concern that Apple cannot implement any Gemini functions on iPhone due to its lack of infrastructure investments relative to other large tech companies. And then I think it positions iPhone, at least in the near term, to be the go-to device to interact with large language models.
And so additionally, Martin, when you think about the fact that Google Alphabet is going to pick up a potential win on this as well, I mean, what is it going to take for this to be successful as both of these companies would want it to be?
I think it will require a lot of nuance on how the large language models or GenAI functions will be implemented because it can augment search capabilities, but there are also a large number of applications they can use. One example will be a similar implication to copilot for the productivity functions, productivity applications from Apple, similar to Microsoft implementation of copilot for its Office suite.
Martin, what does it tell us, though, about Apple's internal efforts? Because there has been some optimism, some chatter, especially over the last couple of weeks, just about what they are doing and how much they are investing in their own AI efforts. Is that maybe not as far as some had anticipated it was up until this point?
Right. We believe that there's a catch-up Apple needs to do to build up its own infrastructure to train large language models because the short supply of GPU cards from NVIDIA. And maybe in the more near term, I think there is a way for Apple to implement on-device AIs using Apple Silicon, but those are not the equivalent of OpenAI's GPT-4 or Gemini in the near term.
Martin, you think about what generative AI could be for the next super cycle for iPhones and for Apple specifically. What type of material difference are you expecting as consumers try to get their hands on the latest cutting edge technology there?
Sure. I think there are a couple of ways for us to get excited about the next generation iPhone with more capable AI functions. Number one, it will be, Siri becomes really helpful to the users. Right now, it's really handicapped. And by, Siri right now is referring to, telling us about weather, telling us about the time, setting timers. And I think the next iteration of Siri, augmented by AI, becomes really helpful as an agent, will help us navigate through multiple apps and then getting us real bookings for hotels, reservations at restaurants, and then, getting us really real world applications of things we could do with iPhones, where the interface becomes voice and as opposed to touch and other controls.
Martin, do you see this partnership drawing the attention of regulators? And I bring this up because the current partnership that Google and Apple have on search has already drawn a lawsuit from the Department of Justice.
I don't think so in the near term, because I don't think there's a very strong regulatory framework around Gen AI. So how do you define Gen AI market? Is this alliance going to dominate the Gen AI market for consumers? I don't think there's any clear understanding of the market size and growth of the market just yet.
It sounds like not only were they in talks with Google, but they also may have at some point been in talks with OpenAI. What would be the material difference that we might see if it was Google's Gemini versus OpenAI?
I think it's too early to tell from my perspective. I think the maybe a higher priority discussion, high priority items in those negotiations is commercial agreements. How much Apple or Google should pay to win this slot. I don't think the AI functions is the determinant factor at the moment because the consumer applications on device for iPhone is not going to be the same as those online interfaces.
Martin, thanks so much for taking the time here today. Really appreciate it. Oppenheimer, Senior Analyst of Emerging Technologies and Services. Martin Yang, we appreciate it as always.
Thank you. My pleasure.